Well, I think we have enough, don't we?
Yep. And the other two aren't gonna be here, so.
Okay. So I'm gonna call the meeting to start for Park Board February 21st, 2023. I need approval, or if there are any concerns or comments on the minutes from last month, otherwise I need a motion for approval.
I'll make the motion for approval.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you. Minutes are approved. We are going to jump right down to the old business so we can leave here sooner. I'm just kidding. We're gonna move you ahead. We have Patrick, following back up on a meeting from last month on your project. Okay, have at it.
Is there a place it's on a flash drive, so.
Try and do it.
I should watch what you do to that.
Hey Greg, you wanna turn the TV on? She has the remote right there by you.
Did it flash?
Yeah,
Yep.
I got green.
Okay. So this is where I can bring all my remotes and just lay them up here?
Better label them.
No, just random. Where'd all these come from?
You're gonna be in trouble if the wild game comes up instead of your PowerPoint.
No, that'd probably be okay.
You got another hour, you got another hour till that happens, all right. So how are you in your new role?
There's some
Brought my own
learning
gavel.
curves.
Order!
I don't
Order!
enjoy it.
Gotta make a bigger one, force in.
Office time. that I-
Come in dragging it, 16-pound pole.
How long have you been?
Yeah, actually, I could use this at my house. This is,
I used to work for, I don't know if you knew Craig Durst.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I ran before that, I think I was with him for,
we had the old,
and then before that.
I'm gonna call it the old original laminate where
Really?
it's, you know, white with the gold flecks.
Great.
So then Rust-Oleum had a product that was gray, so you just paint it over it, so it's real hard finish, so it was just a gray. And then Rust-Oleum came out with the newest one where it's kind of that, it'd be gray-black
Oh, did you really?
blended. It looks a lot like this, it doesn't have the veining, so it looks super, so it's still the original countertop. Modern to where you just, I think the next step is just to get the
Okay.
solid.
We're ready.
Well,
You ready?
part of
Okay.
the street, yeah.
So, we're talking about the bike repair station, so you wanna?
I would
give us
like
the-
to add one thing, so me and him, we've met a few times.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Talked back and forth on the phone. We added him building a bench.
Sure.
More or less because it was, a lot of that bike repair station is donated, and they, as troops, need to actually contribute, or, you know, or build something. So we had talked about a bench, but I'll let you do your presentation, I don't wanna steal anything.
Alright, so, my name is Patrick Tree from KM Troop 231, and this is my Eagle Scout project proposal. So, tonight the objective is, I'm gonna summarize, I have this pretty big packet here. I'm gonna summarize what's in it so you guys don't have to really look too deep in there, answer any questions and concerns you have, and then have you guys officially sign this so I can continue onward.
Sorry. Next time, just give us the presentation ahead of time, that way we can get it all ready to go here for you.
Sorry about that.
Battery's dead in the remote.
Got that one?
These are AAA.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fun. I'll just forward it myself then.
AAA. That must be the other TV. For the audience.
Alright, so, just another brief overview of the project.
I can run it, Tim.
Yeah, you got it on your computer?
On that. Oh, perfect, that'll work too. Where do you want me to go, Patrick, right here or here?
Yeah, right that one.
Otherwise, I think it's.
Alright, so, another brief overview of the project. I'm gonna design, build, and install 2 bike repair stations and then 1 bench. And they're gonna be installed in 2 public Casson parks. And it's gonna provide access to tools that can help fix your bike in really common places. And I've actually used these. There's one in Manorville that I've used a few times when I've had trouble. So the timeline, this is the proposal that I'm saying now, and I'm hoping to have this signed by the end of this meeting. And then during the springtime, when the ground is thawing, I'm gonna install, design, and deploy them, and then the whole project will be completed before summer. Next slide, please. So just, again, these are just the 2 overviews of the locations, one at Veterans Memorial Park and one at the Lions Park. Next slide. So at Veterans Memorial Park, it's going to be the repair stand on existing concrete right next to the bike rack, as you can see in a few of those pictures there. So at the Lions Park / skate park area, I'm going to have a concrete pad about 4 feet by 8 feet poured with the bench, as you can see up in the top. That bench design is going to be what we're going to be building and putting on the concrete, and then the repair stand as well. Wood. Alright, so this is still a little bit up in the air, but these are a few of the possibilities for how the bench is going to go with the repair stand on the concrete pad. This is going to be more like a final detail that we discuss later on as this is signed off. So again, the design is going to be similar to that picture. It's going to be a metal housing, and a bunch of tools are going to be attached to it. It's going to be mounted to the concrete on a cement base like in that picture, with prongs on the top to hold that bike when you're doing repairs on it, and then a tire pump attached to the bottom. So some of the tools attached are going to be like Allen keys, tire wrenches, screwdrivers, just any common tools used for bike repair. So for like the main labor of this, it's going to be around like 10 to 12 people from like my scout troop and my community that are going to be getting together, helping build a bench and install the stations at the sites. But there's also going to be like professional people helping like with welding and just everything to do with like the construction of the repair stations, because we can't really have 12 and 13-year-olds welding and doing metal work and stuff like that.
When I was a kid, you know.
So I have a materials list that if you're interested, I can give you this packet and you can see a detailed materials list, but the total cost of the project will be around $1,000, which is a pretty common price for an Eagle project. A lot of the material gets donated from local businesses and just places around the community that want to help out. So the out-of-pocket cost is probably going to be less than $1,000, but if for some reason there is money left over, it will be coming out of my pocket, so nothing to worry about for you guys. Next slide, please. And then I just wanted to ask if you guys would like to contribute to this project. You certainly don't have to, but if there's any resources or time that you would like to donate, I would appreciate that. Next
Does that
slide.
1,000 include the concrete?
Yes. Well, the concrete is more of an estimated cost because I couldn't like perfectly plan out all the materials and stuff, so the estimated cost of the concrete is included in it. So the next steps is for a sign-off tonight or later on this week if Ben would be allowed to sign that off, and then I'll start working on the project plan portion of this, which is another big packet kind of like this, and then designing a more like solid materials list with any like small pieces that may have been left out, fundraising, construction, and installation. And that's all I got for you. so is there any concerns?
So with your 10 to 12 people that are helping you or donating their time, troop members and community people, you've already talked to them and they've already are good to go with this project? Is that the idea?
So, for these Eagle projects, it's more like all the people in the troop, it's kind of like you talk to them once you got everything, like the details signed out. It's like, I'm gonna go to one of our troop meetings and I'm gonna say, hey guys, my Eagle project is this weekend, I would like some help with this, this, and this, and then people kinda show up.
Okay. But it's pretty common for any scout project or
Yeah, very common.
where
There
people
won't be-
throw in their time as part of what you guys do and help each other out and...
Yeah, there will be no
Project,
issue with that, yeah.
Yeah, one part of the whole project scope is for them to develop a plan and then go line everybody up and physically execute it. Really, the big intent is for them to demonstrate that they've learned a little bit about leadership over the course of their scouting career, and this is just kind of
This is the
capstone
project that does that.
if you will,
Yeah,
that
right.
they're able to demonstrate that.
Okay.
I think, from a park side of it, our responsibility will be the pad. Now, whether we donate the bags of concrete for that pad, or they're paying for it, but I think ultimately I would prefer to see us excavate the pad, put the form down and lay it. I guess I don't know what your plan on that is. I mean, is that what you were thinking, or?
Well, based on our conversation, I was thinking something similar to that.
Okay.
But if that wouldn't work, I would probably get in contact with like a company, like a cement company,
So like,
that could help pour that.
that'll be the hard part, because you're gonna pay a lot more to pour a 4x8 slab versus if we just did bagged concrete. Or,
And I have-
Mark Packard's got benches that we also gotta put out at Lions Park. I don't know where yet, but if we were to able to coordinate something where we could pour several pads at a time,
Any idea how many bags
it's probably like 20.
Yeah, around
I would say
17.
around 20 bags.
the bags for his pad? Okay. I have no problem for Harbor Hank to donate the concrete bags.
Okay.
So I'll throw in 20 bags or whatever you come up with to get
And-
the right bag. Because we wanna make sure it's thick enough not to just crack, obviously. and-
Yeah,
Right.
you're looking at 3.5 or a little more than that.
Okay. Yeah, you just let, me at the hardware store know, or yourself when you're ready
Yep,
to
yep.
grab them, and just come on in, and I'll just bill them to the store.
Okay.
So you can count that part in, and
Well, there you go.
our side of the
How about Greg? Hey, yeah, good
contribution.
man.
And I just, anybody that's, no, don't let these guys mix the concrete.
No, no volunteers.
And then my other opinion with, how you had the bench laid out, I would like to see us lay the bench on the pad, like
Right.
that top right one.
Mhm.
That would be preferred in my opinion.
Okay. Then we would just need to do like some minor tweaking just to make sure that there's like,
Room.
room
Okay.
for the, like, work on the bike.
Yep.
So we may have to move it like a little more towards the edge, but it should
Okay.
be able to work like that on the pad, yeah.
Okay.
So is that bench approximately a 6-foot bench,
Yeah,
long,
it's,
lengthwise?
yeah, it's like,
60
yeah,
inches.
mhm. It's
60
21,
inches?
21 by 60 inches.
5 feet, okay.
Is it essentially the same design as ones that are along the trail?
Mhm, it's the exact same design, actually.
So I guess the other aspect of this is, this proposal phase is kind of like the scouts contract with you guys, entering agreeing to, support him, and he's gonna do some work for you. Now, this planning phase would be the next chunk where you guys have to all agree on the details. He'll have to propose what they are, like your layout of the physical pad and how you want things, and, if there's any other details. As you guys all know, a lot of times somebody will propose a project and, things change for a variety of reasons, whether it's weather or funding or, the requirements change, and that can all happen here. This first part is just kind of entering in the agreement, and then the design phase is the next piece that he's got to kind of hammer out.
Any other questions?
So are we looking for a motion to approve going ahead with this then, Greg?
Yeah, I
Is that what
think,
we're looking
yeah, 'cause since Patrick was here last month proposing this, and came back with some final details, I would, ask for a motion to approve, to take this to the council for approval, so.
I'll make that motion to go ahead and approve it and take it on to the council.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you.
All right,
Moving
so,
on to the council for their approval,
Okay.
so.
So how does that work from here then? Is it, you guys approve it and then he has to go to the council meeting with
No, I don't think that's necessary. You know, what I'll do is, we'll relay this, PowerPoint to the council members and see if there's any objections. Without objections, I think that we'll move forward with the project.
Okay.
so does that mean, like, if the council doesn't have any objections, that Ben could just sign it, like?
Yeah, I think that's what we'll do,
when
is
it's a
we'll
chance?
let him, he'll let me know when he wants to move forward, and then I'll just give him the okay then, so.
And I got your contact, so I'll
Right.
call you as soon as I hear the okay from council.
Yeah, and we have a scheduled council meeting tomorrow, so if possible, we'll just
Pending.
approve it, pending the weather. Yeah, right. It's scheduled for tomorrow, so I think you'll probably know before the end of the week here, one way or the other.
All right,
So my
sounds good.
recommendation, Patrick, would be to leave that proposal document.
Yeah, if you've got a hard
That's the-
copy, that's gonna be helpful too. We can
Yeah,
pass
so
that
that's
out.
the official, and
Yeah,
then,
you just take that
I have a
one.
hard copy of the PowerPoint. Do you want that for the council at all?
Yeah, what's you got there? What's that one?
that's like
That's
the,
the whole thing.
all the verbiage and the PowerPoint was
Yeah,
kind
we'll
of
just
the
keep this one.
executive summary.
Okay,
Yeah. I don't expect there to be a lot of problems from the council level.
right.
And then in the very back of that, there's also like supporting documents like pictures
Oh,
and
perfect. Well, that's good.
the
Those visuals
materials
are always
list
nice.
is also attached to
Yeah,
that.
that'll be just fine, I
And,
think.
and you have that copy of the, you get that extra copy of the PowerPoint if you wanna leave that one with the packet too, so then
Sure.
Ben's got one.
And
and
I
then-
got one.
Okay.
So would you like the PowerPoint hard copy?
Yeah, if you have an extra copy, yeah, you can give it to us too, that's fine. We'll just pass them around if they have any questions. But I would expect it probably wouldn't be a problem, Ryan, wouldn't you think? Yeah.
Fine, and you guys will take it tomorrow to the council?
Okay, well, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Good luck, Patrick, in organizing your skills to get the project complete. Okay, we're gonna jump up to selecting a vice chair. So when I decide I don't wanna come here.
Well said.
So, do I have any volunteers to become vice chair for the Park and Rec Board? Or do we have
Who's
any,
missing? That's always the trick, right?
who's missing?
Chuck's not here, you could just assign him it, you know?
Yeah.
It's good, when you don't make the meetings, you know?
Chuck has an excuse for tonight. He's
I
in charge of the pancake supper
I
at
know, I'm
church.
just kidding, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, by the way, we all have to go for pancakes. Actually, he could bring pancakes to us.
Right, delivery.
Chuck could do it.
So,
He's really good at organizing.
so
things.
is that, Chuck as one recommended,
Motion, Jim?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to elect Chuck.
to elect Chuck? Okay, any other motions or volunteers at this point? No, I'll ask one more time, after one more time, so I asked 3 times. Okay, motions are closed. All in favor of electing Chuck for vice chair, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, Chuck. Okay, Casson Aquatic Center, set the wages and hire managers and such, so, Ben, you got a list of names or?
I do have a list of names. Do you wanna do, let's see, do you wanna do managers first, or do you wanna set the wages, or?
I think we should, I think we should set the wages, and I think as kind of we've done years past, is, once all the wages are set, we'll just make all the recommendations for hire versus go managers, assistant managers, we'll do all the...
We officially named our manager last month.
Yep.
didn't we? Okay.
Okay. So, I know we talked a little bit about wages last meeting, or was it 2?
That was last meeting.
Last
yeah.
meeting,
Okay.
yep. So, I've called around to Stewartville and Dodge Center, talked to them, and actually I have Stewartville's wages. I don't know if I have enough copies.
Good chair.
There's some more.
So pass those down.
Clearly, we're quite a bit higher than Stewartville even. It's kinda hard to read. Obviously the top is years of service, I mean, they go all the way out to 13 years, but, just concessions, the lifeguard to WSI, we're considerably higher. And Dodge Center, they laughed at me pretty much when I told them how much we're paying our people.
Because we're too high.
We're quite a bit higher. I don't think that we're ridiculously high. I think we pay them probably what they're worth for going to get certified, for sure. Now, with that, I don't think we need to give them a raise other than the bump for minimum wage.
I would agree if that's the case where we're, and the idea is not to lose our staff because we're not paying equal
Right,
value to a city next door
yep.
or communities close by where they can travel to, so, you know, so we've got our foot in the door, and even to maybe, last thing we wanna do is be short of employees,
Right,
and have too many employees. In that case, too many isn't a big problem either, because they can, you know, divide their time up better in some cases, so you don't have those people that feel like they're overworked, but yeah, besides the minimum wage increase that we have to meet, and if we're above everybody else, you know, and it was talked about that, you know, last year we did a pretty good hike to get up with all the
Mm-hmm.
things that were going on with COVID and whatnot to try to catch up, so.
I think when I talked with Ben about it, I mean, we look at that as like a wage adjustment last year almost, you know, with inflation and all the other things like you said. What we'd like to do is, going forward, every year the state comes out with whatever their mandated increases, you know, based on inflation. It's like, you know, the minimum wage is locked to inflation. So in order to preserve those splits between the steps, we'd like to kind of take that bottom one, we would add that same amount to all of them, just across the board. So if it's 16 cents for the bottom, then we'd add 16 cents across the board, and we would just make sure that those splits are maintained, and then it wouldn't be an issue, so,
Going forward, sure.
yeah.
Yep, and that makes it easier to try to come up with these too, so.
Right.
Unless something throws a loop in the world where, you know, that $15 minimum wage per hour kicks into the small communities like it does the big metro, but I don't see it happening for quite a while.
I think what I saw now is it's $10.59 for minimum wage.
1064 maybe?
Maybe it was.
1059, something like that.
Something like that, so I mean, I think, you know, obviously we'd have to increase.
And we're on the large, there's a large scale, small scale.
Yeah, I think we're on the large scale,
scale.
correct?
Yep,
Okay.
so,
And that's really just focusing on our concession stand, correct?
Correct. So I mean, I guess if we're gonna increase our concessions to minimum wage, are we gonna bump everything up? Or we just-
Depends on if they're first year or not, because there's that 90-day rule too for first-year employees. They're a lower wage scale too, because it's a training wage.
Right, no, and I understand that, we can keep the first-year employees as concessions, as, you know, the training wage or whatever you wanna call it, but are we bumping lifeguards up, WSIs and assistant managers up, you know, the difference?
What is the wage now?
The wage now, currently for second-year concessions is $10.33, so I'm assuming that was minimum wage last year. So whatever it is this year, I thought it was like $10.59 or
1059 or 10, yeah.
So are we increasing all those wages then, or are we just gonna?
Well, I think if we want to be uniform, it probably makes sense.
Okay,
Yep.
so we'll increase them that small difference.
My 3 cents or whatever it is.
That maintains our gap between your lifeguard.
Yeah, and I think that's crucial to have that gap, I like that.
We worked on that a couple of years ago to make sure there was a gap to encourage the trainings that they could be doing something like this.
And from what I've seen, it's working, so.
All right, so increase the concessions to the minimum wage. Is that first year and second year concessions all the same?
Well, I think we bring up
Training wage for the first
the
year?
training wage, the 20 whatever cents it is too.
That's a set wage too, if I remember.
It is, yeah.
Those first two are both set, and then...
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay, and then the rest we'd leave all the same? Is that kinda,
Or we're gonna bring those up too.
or are we gonna bring
I
those up?
think he was gonna bump them up by that 23 cents or
Yeah,
whatever.
bump them all up that 20, keep that gap.
So virtually everybody but the manager, or the manager's going up?
Already set the manager wage.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
we gotta
was
keep
She's
that.
well over that
Yep.
Yep.
range, so
And it's her first year, so.
it is her first year. And I bet, yeah, she'd be even over the top of their scale here, you know, at 5 years, or, you know.
Yeah, you got a presentation and you got a raise. Good for you. Great day to be a comet.
That's why he was sticking around, he's like, I gotta hear the rest of it.
Greg, I have to run another meeting, but sounds like
Okay.
you got this in hand, so thank
Yep,
you.
got it, thanks, Tim.
Everybody careful and be safe tonight, all right?
Yeah, we're not going too far too fast, I hope so.
Probably, yeah.
We can,
Just walk from home.
Don't forget your little gnome or I'm gonna give it
Oh,
away.
yeah, I better not, it'll disappear.
I'll be happy to give it away, so.
I'm sure.
Already did once. Okay, so,
Do you have a motion?
so I need a motion, so we would, in this case, increase the training wage to minimum wage, or the first year employees to the, I'm gonna say, put them at the training wage, correct? And then everybody else throughout the line will get the 23-cent increase.
Except for the
Or
manager.
whatever that
Except for the,
yeah.
or the gap is, yeah, except for the manager whose wages has been set, so. With that said, I would need a motion for approval.
I move to approve those wages.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carried. Thank you. So that takes care of the wages. So assistant managers hire. What do you have, Ben, for,
So we have 4 assistant managers. I didn't print off enough sheets for everyone for that. I figured I could just name them and we'll be good with that.
sure,
So one would be Rachel Schultz, Duncan Olson, Patrick Tree, and Michaela Kern.
okay. Were those the only 4 that were looking, or was there others?
Nope, we had quite a few looking. We had probably had, I would say 8 or 10 of
Good.
them looking. Interviewed them all. Actually, I'm quite surprised at how well young kids are interviewing nowadays. I didn't have my first interview until I started here, so I was just quite impressed with how well these kids can talk to people, so.
And that's the big thing, to have them outspoken to others versus...
It was definitely a challenge to draw a conclusion. Obviously, Julia was there with me and assisted in it and gave me some input, because she works with these guys, so.
Okay.
But I think we should have a good staff for.
Good, I'm glad that we had, it wasn't limited to just those 4 that we have.
No, it was,
You know,
it
the
was
drive.
competitive, yep,
Okay, well, good, that looks positive for next year as well, too, so.
yeah.
Okay, so I would like to have a motion to hire Rachel, Duncan, Patrick, and Michaela as assistant managers, so do I have a motion on the floor?
Is 4 the number we had last year?
I believe so, yeah, I can look. I think it was, I hired the same with the manager, yep.
So moved.
Thank you, do I have a second?
Second it.
Okay. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Same sign. Okay, motion carried for the hire of the 4 assistant managers. Payment options for the aquatic center. What do we got on that, Ben?
So I guess part of that was with Julia's concern, how are we going about it? Are we allowing cash this year? I guess I'm pretty new with how we did it last year, and I heard a lot of rumbles about that. My concern with not allowing cash is we're limiting our market, where, you know, I understand what our idea is with setting these accounts up. I think it's a fantastic idea. But we're not allowing people from Rochester who are just coming for a one-time deal, you know.
So this is at the concessions? Is that kind of the
I think
idea?
it's concessions and admissions.
Yeah.
Anything at the pool where that's not done here at the city hall?
Last year, we tried to go
Cashless,
cashless, and it did not work.
right.
I mean, the bulk of it came through that way, but there's always those.
Did we not tweak things where admission, we kinda stayed true to that, but I can't recall, but the concessions part, we allowed
They
cash?
tried, but,
But then
there's
by the
always-
end of the year, it was everything. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you got people from out of town and things that come and they
Yep,
don't
understood.
realize it, and, I think it worked great for the, registration.
Registration?
And
Yeah.
buying memberships. I mean, I really like that idea, because that's the bigger amounts of money, and then having all the kids handling it, I thought that was a better idea.
And that I completely understand. I don't know if I like the I mean, that turns to be quite a bit of cash
Right.
in the concessions or, up there at the beginning of the year. Now, I don't know if maybe we should, if we can approach that differently, if we can try to get more folks to pay online, or, I guess I don't know how we've done it.
And this year, we're not charging the extra fee to use the card.
Okay,
The city is kind of,
The 3%
yes.
upcharge, which...
So people aren't gonna see that, and that really was what ticked a lot of people off last
okay.
year. So,
Well, and I call it the cost of doing business, you have to absorb it.
Yep.
But on many receipts that I've gone in my travels, whether it's a restaurant or you get the bill and before you even, they bring you your bill and there's a 3% credit card fee right on there, it's like, and they got a $50 bill and I'm like, and you're gonna take that off, right? So it's just expected in some cases, but it kinda depends on, I guess what business you're in, but I'd agree, we have to take cash, 'cause there's gonna be many people that are gonna send their kids with, you get $20 or $10 or whatever it is, and, part of, when we're hiring these, young students and kids to be at the concessions and stuff, they have to be able to count money, obviously.
Yep.
It's the responsibility that we're taking on them to hire them, so.
And I did kind of talk with Julie about that. I worked in sort of the restaurant industry, I guess, if you want to say that. But we always had one person running that till. And that's what I kind of told Julie. I said, rather than having people, and I get it gets busy, but have one person running food, one person running the concessions till, one person running the admissions till, so that that person is solely responsible and doesn't have to worry about, okay, who else was in here, who
Who didn't do something right, who took, we came up short.
And accidents happen, and I understand that you'll be off. No matter what, at some point we'll be off on the till, a couple bucks here or there.
Yep.
But that might help eliminate some of the issues.
You keep some of the young kids' fingers out that
Yeah.
aren't used to handling cash. But I think the importance of having cash, is still a need, and unless you're gonna post, and you can't post it everywhere to let people know, the Casson Center is a cashless pay by credit card, and, well, it'd be virtually just credit card only, and, that's...
I think that
sometimes-
really limits us for our draw from out of town.
Well, and parents aren't gonna give their kid a credit card to
No.
give, because next thing you know, they're gonna be buying for all their friends, and something's wrong, and then who's to blame, the kid or us?
I will
Because
say,
of the wrong charge,
as a
so.
parent of a kid who eventually will be going to that pool, I love the idea of having the account. Then I can just send them up there, don't have to worry about them having cash in a bag or and something happening. They have an account, they use their number, they run out, sorry buddy, you ran out of money, I gave you plenty, so.
Yep. Which is,
I heard a lot of good people last year said it was like running the school lunch program, where they just could add more to it when they
Yep.
needed it, and,
I think it's a fantastic idea, I think we just tried to go too hard at it.
yeah.
and like I said, when you start getting buses from out of town, and people from out of town, or,
Yeah.
just happen to stop by, we're here to visit, and thought we'd do your pool, so. So really, the option is keep the cash, keep the card. Now, what about checks?
You can't be getting a lot of checks, right?
I don't know.
Can't imagine how long,
Because I would,
especially at the pool.
I would be surprised if there's a lot of checks, and there's always a concern with checks.
you can take a check, but you can never track them down.
Right.
That's where, and we posted at our store, no out-of-town checks.
Yep, and that's what Erdman's used to do, and I
Yep.
remember my dad did that. It was no out-of-town checks.
Yep, and even though, now unless grandma and grandpa are coming for the night swim, or the adult swim, because they still at this point don't own a credit card for some reason, and they're still gonna write the check out. You know, I would suggest, there's not very many people are gonna come with a checkbook in today's world to think that's the only way they can pay, so,
I think we have to wait until next year because we open enrollment today. You can, we signed up today, you can pay today. So if we've got a little bit of flack last year for trying to start with no cash. I like the idea of getting rid of the checks, but maybe we give enough notice where we say
Table it for next season.
next season, we will no longer be accepting checks. That gives everyone a year to make the plan, and we've advertised that enough, because that was the complaint, we didn't advertise things enough. I disagree we did, but the public spoke, said there wasn't enough notice of it, they didn't like that policy. I think doing it after we've opened the ability to do pools is the concern. I'd wait till next year, but start the process.
Have we had issues with,
we haven't had a bad check, have we, that you can recall? I mean,
Oh, yeah. Every year there's a couple.
okay.
There are.
it's probably a case where you probably have an opportunity to still track them down. They didn't realize that it was a account that hadn't been used for a while. It's like, oh, maybe I grabbed the wrong checkbook. I guess it's the fraudulent check that you...
Mr. Optimistic.
It's that...
And a lot of times, it's not the membership checks. It's the $5 concession stand checks, and the fee from the bank is higher than the check was.
Yeah.
That's what kills
Sure.
it.
Well, $4 twice, because they run through a second time, so you got $8, so...
Yeah.
Well, concession stand, I don't see why we can't say no checks.
I'd say at the concession, you can pull, sorry, no checks, because they're gonna have
I
cash.
would-
Even
they're
if
gonna
you just
have-
hung a sign up, I think that's pretty fair. I mean, a lot of places.
That'd work.
That's fine, yeah.
But as
Pay
far
for
as
your-
admissions, I think we need to take the check.
Yeah, admissions,
for
passes,
this
stuff like
year.
that, not a problem. They can control that here, but at the pool, at
Do
the
we have a
facility
lot of
itself.
folks pay ahead of time with check?
I don't know how it went last year for sure. I don't. 'Cause most of it was done online, and then they had to use a card.
Okay, so that's how, okay, that's fine. I didn't know if people mailed checks into the city hall and,
Last year. I mean, the ones that did it at the pool maybe
right.
used more, but none of the upfront stuff was.
So, cash, card, check to pay for your admission and your pass, cash, card for admission, for concessions.
I'd agree to that. Do we need a motion on that, or just a simple agreement, I think, knowing?
Simple agreement's fine.
Okay. And I would agree with that. Is there any other discussion, or do we have anybody opposed?
The online site worked really well today, my wife said it was very smooth.
Thank you,
You
Ryan.
know, one part of it.
Keep talking to your wife, will you, please? Okay. Anything else on that? At this point, we'll move on otherwise to, the Lemmy Jones inspection.
Yeah, so I just kinda wanted to bring this to light at, I guess the costly repairs that we will have coming up for the pool. Ron had budgeted this year for the dive tower. It's a full refinish, so it's basically sanding it down, painting it, cleaning it up, getting the rust off. That's $14,000. And then, that's $8,000. And then the toddler slide, I don't know if anyone's familiar with that small slide. To basically redo it is gonna be $14,000, but a new one is $20,000 to $25,000. So we have that budgeted for this year to get done. So that wouldn't happen till we close for the season. I think last year we ended up doing like under the stairway up to the big slide. But up and coming, we have the water slides. That's where it gets expensive. To pressure wash and paint both slides, it's gonna be $38,000. Now, I don't know how crucial that is, but it's gonna have to get done at some point. I would say the more important probably is gonna be the interior of the slides, replacing the seals where each section's put together and waxing and buffing the insides of those slides. But that one, that's gonna be $44,000. So I just, just to put that in perspective, what it costs to maintain those slides, and I think, you know, you're looking at a couple $100,000 for a new slide. Nowadays, anyway. I think when we bought it was probably $150,000 for the slides. So I guess I just wanted to show you guys or tell you guys what the costs of maintaining those are gonna be, the water features. I mean, we have the actual water features, just to repaint those, where was it? Is like $25,000 to redo all those.
So Ben, looking at that, do you have a recommended timeline? I know you mentioned the child slide and the tower and then the slides buffing after and whatever, but...
The way Ronnie had it laid out is for the next 3 years.
That's what I thought.
And I'm sure we can do some tweaking and, okay, do we really need to do it this year? And, you know, my opinion is for sure that the interior of the water slides and the seals that are in them, that's pretty crucial. You know, aesthetic side of it, the painting on the slides and stuff, you know, you guys use your judgment too, but people wanna come to a nice looking facility, and we have a great facility as it stands, but the older it gets, the more we're gonna have to replace.
I mean, the main concern on the interior of the slides, correct me if I'm wrong, but with the chemicals that are in the water, chlorine
Yeah,
or whatever,
so that-
it delaminates the fiberglass, all of a sudden you start to have the fiberglass shards and whatever
Yep.
else. Yeah, can you imagine?
Much as adds to the sliding experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing different than
I
having
mean,
wheels
that's, to
on
me,
them.
more than the aesthetic piece, I mean,
Yeah.
that's just a simple safety piece
Yep,
that we need to
absolutely.
address, so.
So I just, yeah, like I said, I just wanna bring to light the costs that we have coming our way. And that's just features, you know, that doesn't, we've talked about pumps,
Yeah, it's,
and those are crazy expensive.
so, now I don't know if you know better or not, but to repaint just the things that are standing there
Yeah, those
looking
water
pretty.
features,
You know, is that a special paint? Is that something the city employees can't just
it
do?
is, well,
Cause it did, what did you say that repaint features was? How many thousand?
25, but it says full refinish, so, like I said, I would have to contact the Lemmy Jones company.
You know, I'm
I
trying to
don't
find
know.
out, you know, what is labor and what is material, so
Right.
it's just,
I would assume it's a special paint.
my guess is like, it's a marine epoxy of some sort. But, and I don't sell marine epoxies, but obviously it's,
I will have to dig into
Just
what
look
a
into it.
full finish means, you know.
Yep.
I don't know if that means going through and fixing anything that's wrong, or, you know,
okay, so,
but I can look into that, absolutely.
yeah, then we've got time, but I think, you know, I guess curiosity on my side, I understand the water slides and the seals and, you know, yeah, you don't want fiberglass shards, the more you let that deteriorate, the more it's gonna cost us, but, it's just better making the red look red again versus pinkish, or make the yellow look bright yellow versus faded yellow. You know, like I said, it's, you know, you're right, it is new and fresh, it looks good, you know, and we're gonna ask for what's the guarantee on the non-fading, but you can't judge that based on, you know, it's outside, it's,
Right.
so,
It's gonna happen,
yep.
but...
But the toddler slide repair, and I'm not familiar, they won't let me go on the toddler slide anymore, I guess, so I can't. Okay.
I think that's a great feature,
Okay.
for sure.
The dive tower, that's just a little bit of rust and repainting again?
Yeah. You know, and at some point, we're probably gonna have to look into the actual board itself, you know, with the issues we've had in the past. And like I said, I don't know whether it was slip-related or...
We talked about that at a previous meeting, there was gonna be a sign put up.
Yep, and we have the sign and then the height restriction post.
Yeah.
And then we talked about we're gonna put a lifeguard on one of the platforms. You know, I think that's good that we're gonna cover our end as far as making sure people are behaving. I mean, we've all been kids, we've all been on diving boards, people horse around, but
Yeah.
we also wanna make sure that that diving board is safe for use too.
Right.
I think not to rehash that, but I think we
Yeah.
were pretty comfortable with the approach that we agreed on.
Yeah, with the lifeguard
upcoming
and,
season,
yeah, so, okay. So what are we projecting to do for the 2023 repairs then? This is a 3-year plan.
Well, the way he had it laid out, or the way the Lemmy Jones Company laid it out, is we're doing it completely different, so I don't know how Ron budgeted for this. You know, 2023 was water slide exterior, and then underside of the riser sections, and, which we actually got painted, so that, like I said, the stairway up to the big side, that all got refinished last year. But he kinda, I don't know how he picked and choose what he was gonna do.
I think that's why we were paying for a company to do some of this work, because we want it done right and want it done safely.
Right.
We might have, then it come down to the materials, might just come down to time and labor and cost on our end.
And, you know, they do a annual inspection as far as, I mean, they pointed out some loose fittings on our water slide, which was good that we got it taken care of. I mean, the last thing you want is something like that to fail. I mean, that would be a terrible.
Find out how much we budgeted for this year, so we can decide what we can afford to pay for this year.
Right, so for this year, we budgeted for the dive tower and the toddler slide, and that's all that was,
On budget?
yep.
Okay, so we got 22,000 then for the dive tower and the toddler slide, so that leaves us the 63,000 for the big water slide, and obviously I would say that's probably gonna be your next year's
Yeah, we might have
repair
to.
at that point, or,
And like I said, I'll talk to this guy, I haven't talked to him yet, but obviously, in my opinion, like I said, the interior of the slide is probably the most crucial, so if at least we could get that done, you know, the next year of 2024.
if I remember right, what you had mentioned, or Ronnie did, that, you know, they have to take these completely apart, put in a brand-new seal and reassemble them, so obviously a lot of it is labor.
Yep.
And whatever seal they're using is obviously gotta stand up to the chlorine, so, okay, well, it gives us an idea if we got, you know, I envision the big water slide next year, and then whatever the, you know, repaint the features and whatever other little thing might come up the following year. You know, it might be a 40,000 next year and a 30,000 the following, but, at least we have some numbers
Yep.
based on these less pump failures and less drain covers and skimmer covers, and,
Yeah, I would, you know,
'cause I think that was more cost to us too, as well as replacing those skimmer covers, wasn't it? Did they get done this past year, do you remember?
Sorry.
The skimmer covers
yep,
for...
we got new seals for them. There's rubber gaskets that go on the top of the skimmers.
Okay,
So those got redone this year. And those, I'm starting to find out everything for pools is ungodly expensive. Some rubber seal that you think you could find anywhere is like $200, you know?
well, it could be just some former gasket material,
Pretty
do
much.
the same thing.
But, you know, and then
Yep,
I brought up, I've dealt with a lot with pumps out at the golf course. We have the same style type pump. And we brought ours in on a yearly basis to get checked, maintained, and so we started doing that this year. And it's crucial because if we don't, the two that we got redone with bearings and stuff, if those go out, we don't have a pool. And then we're gonna be when they get fixed, we're gonna be spending thousands and thousands of dollars to put chemicals back in to bring, you know,
To
the
get the
pH
pool back up,
balance
yep.
back, yep. So, as a maintenance side of it, I see that being very, very crucial to making sure that all that stuff is running. So we're finally on a maintenance program with a guy out of Pine Island who does pumps.
okay.
I think we're just gonna start to see now that this pool's gonna start costing more and more money, unfortunately.
Well, and this is kinda where the wage,
The age.
you know, you start, what's cuff a pool pass? And for the locals versus the non-locals, who pays for it, who doesn't pay for it, and, that's where we fight and pinch and struggle, and how does an out-of-towner pay more, and how much more? So.
Some point, maybe we talk to Manorville and see if they want to join in on some of the costs. so
And actually,
Citizens can save money on.
that would be a fantastic idea. I mean, even Tim brought up even trying to get Byron to come this way. I mean, they don't have a pool, and I know they had one, they planned for one, but that got shut down fairly quickly. What a good, let's try to get surrounding communities to buy into our pool.
That's a good idea to start with. I'd start with Manorville.
Yep.
And then work your way to some of the Dodge County or Byron groups.
And then the challenge is, how do you share it? How does Byron get their, not saying it wrong, but Byron night? I don't know, that's hence the challenge, but yeah, if we can get Manorville involved, that would, you got the Castle Manorville School District, we're gonna have the Castle Manorville Aquatic Center, so.
Absolutely.
Things for thought, food for thought, so. Okay, thank you, Ben. Any more on the Lemmy Jones inspections or 2023?
Nope.
Okay. So let's go back up to number 5, follow up on the subcommittee meeting with the community ed on, I'm gonna call it the advertising.
Yep. So, me and Tim met with them. Obviously, they have quite a big plan. I think we kinda all agreed on that maybe we start small and see what they can offer for us. So we had talked about advertising, so they do 3 brochures a year. So for instance, for the summer brochure, it covers the months of May to August. Unfortunately, that deadline's coming up, it's March 15th. So if we decide to do something, we would have to make a decision and plan out what we want fairly quickly. And I talked to Katie, and I asked her for the cost. It's $250 a page for each brochure. So I guess I would have to reach back out to her and what can we fit on a page? I mean, what are we looking to advertise for our pool? She just kind of laid it out too. She said if we were to dedicate 2 pages of city information for each brochure, it'd be $1,500 a year. I don't think it's necessary for us to advertise all 3 brochures. I don't see that being beneficial.
Skate park.
In the winter.
Yeah, you just leave the water in the pool.
When we add the outdoor ice arena at some point, or the outdoor ice pad, that type of stuff, yeah, but winter, no.
I for sure think it would be nice to get the summer brochure, if that's a option.
May through August, yeah.
That could be where you put your softball
Yeah.
leagues that have been run through the city before, and that could be where you put some other things. If we're gonna run those things, or if community wants to run them eventually.
Yeah, and it's not, we don't have to, like you said, we don't have to specifically do just the aquatic center, but it could be a good opportunity for us to advertise that, softball's dying. We got 7 teams, so.
Kickball league, pickleball leagues, if there's something to start up with the facilities we have. Working with community might help with that.
Yeah, but I think obviously our main focus would probably be on the pool, just to begin with for this year, if we decide to go further with it.
So really just a 1-page
Right,
ad.
I think 1 page would be more than enough. Like I said, I don't know how much we can put on 1 page. I don't know what the size of their brochures, I've never seen them.
I think they're 8.5 by 11.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a, yeah.
So that's plenty, that's plenty of room. It's just, now it's a matter of what do we want to put on it.
Aquatic, I think this year, aquatic center, I don't know what programs we put in the fall.
I would say more the winter to the spring.
We'd wanna put it in put the aquatic center in the winter. so
Right,
it gets
to
out.
get 'em-
Yeah, to get that hype up.
Because once the August is over with, the pool stuff is done.
Right.
So,
So, maybe
I would
we
do the winter one and the
Do
spring.
the spring, winter for the pool,
Yeah.
and then we look at next year.
Okay. So we can decide that we'll table it for, or do
So in
we-
this case, we won't do the summer one because it's almost too late
Yeah.
and things
That,
already...
I mean, that kinda is
The ball's
coming,
rolling
with
already,
it coming out May to, what did I just say, May to?
May to August.
May to August, that's kind of,
We've already opened up.
yeah.
Right.
And the things are already signed up, so, yeah, okay, so then maybe we think about the fall, winter one.
Or the winter, spring.
Winter, spring one.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so let's push it back and probably let her know that, Katie, that, skip the summer, but, we'll be in touch. And whether it's a one-page or a two-page, I think one page would probably be plenty based on how it all fits, I guess. And they would probably come up with the layout to proof probably,
Right.
so. Okay, well, in about, sure. But I think it is a good idea that we work with Community Ed to put the advertising in. I think it's a great, another venue to get the advertising out, because it does get into a lot of hands,
Yep. And,
so.
they had, so when we met with them, she printed off kind of their plan. They did a phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. I think obviously, I mean, we can all agree that we wanna just start with the advertising. I mean, they went as far as expand recreational programming and event opportunities. I didn't get enough time to actually listen to what they had to say. I mean, Tim was pretty vocal about what he wanted, which is fine, but we would have to meet quite a few more times before we can, hatch something and
When we
actually...
start turning over programs
Right.
to Community Ed, I think that was the whole thing, that let them take over
Yep,
could be the softball league, or let them take over the basketball, league at the school and schedule the gyms and the fields and,
from what I'm gathering, we're gonna be probably talking about this for quite a while before we can actually come up with some sort of agreement. And obviously, they're gonna have to come in when we look through this and make decisions.
Sure.
And they can give us some better details on what
Okay.
they want.
Question I always hear at council meetings is, where is that coming from in your budget?
Right.
Where's that $500, $1,500 going to come from within the park budget?
In the past, we did have a line for advertising,
Yeah, so it's something that...
where we did some like in radio stations in Rochester and things. We haven't been doing that, so
So, maybe bring where that would come from to the next meeting, because
Yep.
we're not in a hurry at this point, because we know we're not gonna put something in May.
Right.
So the next time we meet about this, know where the money's coming from,
Mhm.
and so we have a plan for it in the future, so we can make sure that we budget for it. If we're gonna do it more, then we need to budget for it more next year. We're gonna do it twice next year.
Greg, put your donation boxes out around town. Donations for advertising.
We're gonna have like 20 donation boxes, and we can do anything.
next thing you know, it's gonna be, here's a suggestion for the donation.
Yeah.
A scratch piece of paper, so, okay. So we will work with Community on the advertising for the winter, spring at this point, so. And where that goes from there on programs, yet to be determined, so. Any other, concerns, questions on the, Community Ed stuff? Nope, okay. So, let's go to signage on the Save the Wall proposal. Janet, is that you?
Okay, yep. Okay, I've got a draft of what it's gonna look like. We spent some time on it, pictures, they told us how big your font had to be and everything. So your title's 70 point, the rest I think is 18 or something. Not a lot of verbiage, 'cause then people aren't gonna stand there and read it. Pictures is nice. So it's gonna be a 24 by 36 sign with a border all the way around it, and 2 poles that will go down into the ground. And it will be at a 45-degree angle, so people will stand there and read that.
Covered in plexiglass, or?
It's got some kinda, yeah, it's all sealed and everything. It's, 'cause I was up at the Legion had theirs made from, I don't know, Magnolius, and then somebody else, they did some plexiglass, and then they didn't do it right, and it wasn't sealed, and it's kinda bending now, too. So I definitely wouldn't do something like that. So this is a regular sign company. They make all these signs, and they don't know what they're doing and stuff, so.
Yeah, 'cause it has to weather and it has to take it.
Yeah, they're all sealed, and they know it's all set for the sun and everything, so it's not gonna fade and all that stuff. Ben told me that he wanted, the 2 poles in the ground, he didn't want the kind that would go into the cement. And I said, well, that's good, that's kind of what we wanted too, and stuff.
Directly into, right through the sod,
We'll bore holes, and then we'll concrete the posts in. I mean, the fear of having it on a pad is the cracking of a pad.
next thing you know, it's, yeah.
Right.
And you're limited to, once you pour that pad, that's the way the sign's gonna face. So if you wanted to tweak it, it's gonna look goofy if it's not centered on the pad. So at least this way, we have some leeway. If we kind of set it up and stage it up, and you're like, oh, let's turn it this way, we can do that, you know. That was my suggestion, so.
So would it be on just one post?
2.
No, it'll be on 2 posts, so we'll bore
Okay.
2 holes and concrete each post in.
Okay.
What was the cost again?
I don't know, I haven't gotten that far, but we're paying for that. That's not
That's 100%.
something that anybody's paying for.
Well, thank you, Janet.
So, I just needed the approval, and, you know, we got the pictures from way back when, and what it looks like now, and...
Do you have an idea where you would like it put up
Well, I
at?
think by the pillars, I mean, one side of the wall there by the pillars,
Okay,
one end of the other,
okay.
I don't know, maybe,
Would you want it more towards where, like, the swing set is? Like, on that side?
yeah,
Where people are, like, frequently going in?
yeah, maybe, yeah, I mean, we can,
Being honest, like what side would be in the camera view for it?
I don't think there is a camera view over there, so. Problem is, if the camera sees them, we still can't catch them, so.
That's just
You
it.
can hear that.
You can see it happen, but it doesn't mean you can catch them.
Yeah,
I think we can work on where to position it later, I think, you know.
that's
'cause-
fine, I just kinda wanted an idea
Yeah.
what you were thinking.
Yeah, up in there, in that area someplace.
We've already approved it the sign to be put in there, haven't we? Or do we have
Well-
to make a motion to the council to
I,
allow the signage?
I believe
for
it
the-
has to be
It has-
allowed by the counselor.
yeah,
So we should, I guess at this point, I will need a motion to approve of signage for Save the Wall, which will be 100% funded, not from the city, but from the Save the Wall Committee, to allow a spot up at Veterans Park.
I'll make the motion.
Proofread everything on there and...
Yeah, we're gonna pay to have it designed and everything, so they're gonna know how to do it exactly. We have to give them the ideas and stuff, and then they'll position everything exactly where it should go, and they know what they're doing.
We'll follow up with where it's gonna go, but we just wanna have the board's, agreement to proceed with your work and payment for it to get the signage put in the park, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so Janet, your first motion, do I have a second? I'll second it myself. So, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you, Janet. Guess we've got the Eagle Scout done, Patrick? Oh, wait, he's already done. I'm just kidding. Any other stuff that we have that anybody wants to bring up, or? Otherwise, our next meeting is March 21st, 28 days from today. So, Ryan, bring your daughter.
No, she has gymnastics that week.
Oh, darn. I was gonna say, if she had cake or cupcakes, that'd be nice too for birthday presents for ourselves, and snacks. Okay. Otherwise, if that's it, I need a motion for,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
to adjourn. Second? Thank you. All right. I don't think we have to A or nay it, so. Thank everybody for, have a good night.
I
Be
just heard-
safe.
Just heard from Chuck, he says, okay, I guess. So-
Tell him you goofed, it wasn't vice chair, it was the first chair.
Oh, I mean.
He just becomes the first chair, I just became the vice chair, we just swapped, so.
Maybe go on.